read for you from the Gospel according to Mark chapter 9, verses 14 onwards. When they came to the disciples, they saw a large crowd around them and scribes arguing with them. Immediately on seeing him, the whole crowd was utterly amazed. They ran up to him and greeted him. He asked them, "What are you arguing about with them?" Someone from the crowd answered him, "Teacher, I have brought to you my son possessed by a mute spirit. Wherever it seizes him, it throws him down. He foams at the mouth, grinds his teeth, and becomes rigid. I asked your disciples to drive it out, but they were unable to do so." He said to them in reply, "O faithless generation, how long will I be with you? How long will I endure you? Bring him to me." They brought the boy to him, and when he saw him, the spirit immediately threw the boy into convulsions. As he fell to the ground, he began to roll around and foam at the mouth. Then he questioned his father, "How long has this been happening to him?" He replied, "Since childhood. It has often thrown him into fire and into water to kill him. But if you can do anything, have compassion on us and help us." Jesus said to him, "If you can, everything is possible to the one who has faith." Then the boy's father cried out, "I do believe. Help my unbelief." Jesus, on seeing a crowd rapidly growing, rebuked the unclean spirit and said to it, "Mute and deaf spirit, I command you, come out of him and never enter him again." Shouting and throwing the boy into convulsions, it came out. He became like a corpse, which caused many to say, "He is dead." But Jesus took him by the hand, raised him, and he stood up. When he entered the house, his disciples asked him in private, "Why could we not drive it out?" He said to them, "This kind can only come out through prayer." The Gospel of the Lord. My dear sisters and brothers, Jesus healing a boy at the foot of Mount Tabor. Jesus saw a gathering. As soon as the crowd saw Jesus, we are told the crowd rushed towards him. There was a lot of faith in the people rushing towards Jesus, because when Jesus was high up on the mountain in prayer and later was transfigured, the disciples, except the 3 disciples whom Jesus took to the mountain top, the other disciples were at the foot of the mountain. And a father brought a boy to the disciples for the disciples to heal the boy. But the disciples could not heal the boy. And there was an argument between the scribes and the disciples. And the father of the boy was helpless because the boy had epilepsy. The boy was in convulsions, and everything described about the boy reveals to us how the state of a human person is without God, without faith. The boy was thrown into convulsions again and again. And there is a misery about human life when God is absent from our life. It is that misery which was symbolized in this condition of this boy. And all the people rushed towards Jesus. And that's what we find in the Gospels all the time. Wherever Jesus went, it is the sick and the broken-hearted. It is the helpless and the sad who crowded around Jesus because they found in Jesus a new hope for humankind, a new hope for everyone sick and sad and broken. And Jesus invited, "Come to me, you who are tired and burdened, I will give you rest." All the time Jesus invited the sick and the sad to him. And the Gospels tell us it is they who crowded around Jesus with great faith all the time. And Jesus himself said, "It is to them that I am sent. I am sent by the Father, anointed by the power of the Holy Spirit. I am sent to heal the sick. I am come to reveal God's mercy to everyone in pain, to everyone suffering." And this father of this boy asked Jesus, "Master, if you can, please do something for the boy." And Jesus, in exclamation, Jesus said to the father, "If I can." Everything is possible for the one who believes. In this gospel event, we will see this beautifully described, how Jesus is telling the people, between my sickness and my healing, there's only one thing, my faith. Elsewhere, Jesus said, "If you have faith as little as a mustard seed, a little seed, if you have faith as little as a mustard seed, nothing will be impossible to you." You will not be sick anymore. You will not be sad anymore. Which explains to us all the misery in our life, all the sickness and sadness in our lives is due to this. We do not have faith as little as a mustard seed. And this is where we understand what Jesus tells us. If you have faith, nothing will be impossible to you. Whenever the sick and the suffering came to Jesus, the one thing Jesus wanted them to have is faith in God. What is faith in God? Faith means I surrender. I let myself go. I let myself go into the heart of God. I'm in pain, yes. I'm in distress. I'm troubled. But when I believe in God, I do not concentrate on my troubles. I do not look at what's happening to me. I raise my eyes up to Jesus. I look at Jesus. I open my heart to my God. I raise my eyes up to Jesus and I wait, surrendering my troubles and my problems to my God. I wait upon God to intervene. Even when the doctors fail me, even when medicines cannot help me, I raise my eyes up to God and I wait. I wait for God's power to descend into me. I wait for God's love to flow into me. And Jesus said very clearly, if you believe, nothing will be impossible to you. This is where, my dear sisters and brothers, as we are gathered around Jesus, we want to let our sickness, our troubles, our problems go into the heart of Jesus. Putting our trust in God. It is God who created us. It is God who made us what we are. But then the brokenness in the world around us has caused havoc in our bodies and in our minds. Our relationships have brought in a lot of anger and agitation into our hearts. A lot of damage is done to our hearts and to our bodies because of the circumstances that we are living in. And now we want to believe this. God is molding our bodies once again. God is intervening into every misery of our life. As we read through the Gospels, one thing becomes clear to us. No sick person came to Jesus and went back sick. And this is a gospel record. Jesus did not tell any sick person, I cannot heal you. Your sickness is too grievous for me. No. Whatever type of sickness, Jesus touched and healed every sick person who came to him. And Jesus proved he had authority even on death. Even the dead man came out alive when Jesus called him. John chapter 11, Lazarus was dead and buried in the tomb. 4 days, a stinking dead body. And Jesus called out, Lazarus, come out. The dead man came out alive. And everybody was amazed. A word used again and again in the Gospels. Wherever Jesus went, the people were amazed. They were wonderstruck at what is happening. Look at him. Even the waves and the storms and the sea obey him. The sickness obeys him. Every form of sickness, whether epilepsy or hemorrhage or paralysis or blindness, every sickness obeys him. And this is my God. This is our God. And that's what Jesus came to tell us. That a God is there for us at every moment of our trouble. One thing we shall know, often we imagine that sickness is a curse. Sickness is a condemnation. And we begin to slip into despair and depression. And we ask questions, why does God do this to me? If you and I think it's God who makes us sick, that we fall sick because of a punishment from God, then we are desperate, then we are helpless. If God is against me, then where do I turn to? We shall never imagine this. In the moments of our sickness, God is cursing us, God is condemning us, or our sickness comes to us because of God's curse, because of God's condemnation. We shall never imagine such a thing. It is far from the truth. Indeed, in the moments of our sickness, what Jesus is waiting to do is to enter into us, to send his power into us and heal us. And that's why Jesus is asking the question, do you believe this, that I can heal you? Only when I open my heart to him, only when I open my heart to him, trusting in his power, only then will Jesus be able to heal us. Again, we are told when Jesus went to a town, the people did not believe in him. The people did not accept him. Since the people did not accept and believe in him, Jesus could not heal them. Faith. Letting our hearts go. Letting our aches and ailments go. If we cling on to our own negative feelings, if we cling on to our despair, if we cling on to the sad, miserable thought that God is punishing us, we will keep away from God, and God becomes helpless. Even God will not be able to do a thing in our lives. Today, as we are gathered together, my dear sisters and brothers, in the presence of God, of our God, let us turn to Him in great faith, letting our aches and our ailments go, whatever our aches and ailments could be. Let's also remember our children who are sick. Let's also remember our brothers and sisters and our family members who are sick. Let's also remember the sick people who are our friends, whom we know to be sick. Let's also open our heart wide to all the sick people around the world, and the many who are languishing in clinics and old age homes, the people who are abandoned, the people having no one to care for. God must come to them and console them and comfort them and heal them. As we are opening our heart to God for God's power to descend upon us, let us open our heart wide to contain the misery of all the sick people around the world. Let's invite God's blessings upon them. Let's pray that all of them may be healed by God's power. Let's all stand up. Jesus said, I'm come for the sick. I'm come for the broken-hearted. Jesus is coming in search of the sick, in search of the broken-hearted. Jesus is coming in search of every one of us in order to heal us, in order to let His grace flow into us, in order to make us feel His power, that we may never again slip into despair when anything goes wrong with us, with our health. We know where to turn to. We're not helpless people. We know where to turn to. God is there to accept our ailments and heal us.